Hey there, thanks again for joining me. Today I'm talking about a very, very specific sort of niche thing, but it was for me a riddle that I've been trying to solve for the last day or so. And I wanted to share my solution because I imagine that, first of all, a lot of Dorico users are probably also in the realm of owning Kontakt 7. And there's a cool orchestral tools created sort of harp. Well, it's a harp, but it has this sort of glissando feature in it that I discovered, and I've put it into Dorico. I wanted to share how this works. So this is to create how to create a harp glissando, which is just basically the harpist strumming across all the strings, how to set it into key, and then how to make it start on a specific note and end on a specific note, but it's unmeasured, right? So it's just kind of casual in the traditional approach that I found elsewhere on YouTube and that I've done in the past is to kind of drag my fingers across the white keys, maybe use Cubase or my other DAW's capability to lock all those notes into a specific key, and then just kind of scale it and bring it around into the place that I want. That doesn't work so well in Dorico because it's not really the same as a DAW. And it does sound nice when you do the kind of like drag across the keyboard. This, I think, sounds just as good, and I can be a bit more meticulous about it. I don't think it's really, uh, the other approaches are really a lot more efficient, but this is just offering up another solution. I'm happy with it. So I wanted to share what's going on here. So let me switch over to my main screen here. And I've got I've got this down here in the lower left. I've got a little cheat sheet to remind me what to talk about. But of course, you can also read that if you kind of want to like jot down these steps for yourself. So these are the 6 steps where we're gonna basically write the notes, our start note and end note for the glissando into Dorico. We're gonna set the harp pedaling settings in layout options so we can see the harp pedaling diagram. If you don't know what that is, then you're in good company because I had no idea what it was either. I'm not a harp player at all. But I'll show you how that works and then how you can use this Kontakt instrument. So basically what you have, in order to do this whole example, you need to have Kontakt 7 with its factory library. So you need to own a license factory of Kontakt 7, not just the Kontakt player. When you buy Kontakt 7, part of the deal is that you get a pretty extensive factory library. Now, I don't use that library a lot. I think generally most people would correctly assume that that library is not going to be a high-end pro library. But for a harp, I use this kind of glissando effect to create motion and forward motion in my music. I think it sounds fine in that application. I'm not doing the kind of harp music that I really need to have some high-end harp for. So then we're going to actually use automation lanes. We're going to use CC11 here, but you can use any CC you want, and I'll show you how to configure that. We're actually going to put the pedal diagram in there, and then I'll show you how to do a couple of tweaks to make sure you get the right start and end note. So I'm going to take myself off the screen here and get started. So this is what we have at the end of our result here, and I'm going to play it back for you. I have a little percussion in the background there as well. So what's going on here? All right, so let's take this step by step. First, we're going to want to write in these notes, right? So you have to, I'm starting with this B or B flat in the bass clef, and I'm going all the way up to this high B flat, right? So I'm passing through a few octaves. This is an unmeasured glissando, meaning it's not specifically 16ths or 8ths or 30 seconds. It's just a strum. Given that amount of time, this piece of music here is in 12/8, so I've got a dotted half going up to an eighth up here. In that amount of time, I want to get from that note to that note. So you write in the notes first. I find actually for later in this process, it's better to not put in the gliss ornament quite yet. You only really need that anyway if you are giving this to a harpist to play. Now we want to go into layout options, which you can hit Command Shift L, and that brings this up. And what you want to do here is go to players on the left and then down to harp pedaling. And you want to make sure show harp pedaling is on. I prefer the diagram to note names, but that's a choice you can look up. There is Anthony Hughes does have a Dorico video up about pedaling, and it talks about this. So you can look into that, but I check this off and I hit diagram because I prefer the diagram. If this is a new setting, you have to hit apply. It's an old setting for me, so I'll just hit close. Okay, that's the next step. Now, you need to use Kontakt. You can use Complete Control if you have it, but Kontakt is more common, especially since this is a Kontakt factory library item. I'm going to demonstrate it with Kontakt instead. And let me go into the instrument here. If I were to go into Kontakt up here, and I were to search for harp, one of the options that would come up, I'll just do this from scratch if you're not used to kind of finding sounds. So these are all my libraries, but if I go into harp, then all of these instruments have some kind of harp in them. I'm going to select my Kontakt library, and I see over here harp. I could even favorite if I wanted to. And then when I load it, I get back to this instrument right here. Now, when you load this up by default, this glissandi button here is disabled. It's sort of light gray. If it's enabled, then it's lit like that. You want to have that turned on. The next thing you want to do is you want to choose a MIDI CC value. 11 is for expression. That's what I'm using in this example, but you could set it to whatever you want. If you wanted to use another undefined one, maybe if you wanted to use expression on this, that's fine, okay? But what it does is I've got this fader now, and you can't see me moving my fader, but my fader just sends CC11, and you can hear how as I bring my fader up and down, that's what this feature does. It basically translates MIDI CC11 values into a glissando. And then I can choose over here what key I want. Now, I've got music in D flat major here, I guess, or B flat minor. So I've got this set right here. This is a bit clumsy. There's no B flat option. There's only A sharp, but you know, it's enharmonic, so it's fine. You can choose your scale here, minor, so that I know my glissando is going to be in B flat minor. And it's being triggered by CC11, right? So the fact that I've got this note up here in Dorico and this note here, these actually really don't drive the glissando at all, which is a bit strange, right? But what it means is that this is what I'm writing for the harpist, presuming that I'm going to have somebody perform this live. Down here, this is what I'm programming so that on playback I get a realistic sounding glissando. Okay, so that's what's going on. These two are not related. Now, this diagram here is a harp pedal diagram, harp pedaling diagram. You can learn more about that kind of on your own, but basically the gist is that this is 7 notes. I had to write them down. So the first pedal is D, then C, B, E, F, G, and A. And so if I'm in the key of D flat, then the D has to be above the line. That means D flat. If it was down here, it would be D sharp or E flat, right? So each one of these is a note, and you can either sharp or flat it to get your key signature. It doesn't automatically do that. And the key and this pedal diagram would be helpful and important if you were, again, actually going to have a harpist play it. It doesn't matter at all in terms of getting this technique to play back correctly. Okay, so we've got the harp loaded up, and we have our glissando effect enabled in Kontakt. Now we need to go down and write automation in whatever CC value we've selected here. So I've got that down here in CC11. And the first value I have over here, you can see, is 48, and you can nudge that by small increments. The last one is 73, and I basically just figured out by ear, I'm going to show you how I did that 48 was this low B flat, and that 73 was this high B flat. And the way I did that was I switched the curve here to the constant point, or it's like stepped, right? And then I could actually come here and select this, and I'd hit play. I could mute my percussion if I wanted to, so that I can actually hear this note against the note that plays, and I adjusted it using this little up and down until I was getting a consonance, right? I was getting the same note, not I was getting a perfect unison. And then I did the same over here for this one until I was getting a perfect unison right there as well on that note. Then I switched it back from stepped to ramp like that. And now it basically is sending CC11 values that start on the correct note and end on the correct note, and I get this lovely sound. And it's in the right scale because I have the scale set over here. Now, if I want to, for performance benefits, to go in and actually write in the ornament, then I can select my notes like that, hit Shift-O for ornaments, and then just write in gliss. And I get the gliss line in there, so that's how you can add that notation if you need it. So, layout options. This is where you show the harp pedaling. If you don't see a harp pedal example, you do actually sometimes need to go in and type that in. The way you do that is you select a point in your staff, and you, what was it? I think Shift P. Yes, it's step 5 down here in my little to-do list. Shift P is for playback, and then I actually type in the notes like so I start with D, C, B. If I wanted this to be in the key of G, let's say, then I would just have to type in F sharp, and it knows that this is, believe it or not, just typing that in, it's going to give me the pedal diagram for F sharp. So that's how you add that. And as long as layout options has it turned on, it'll show automatically. All right, so that is the whole enchilada. I hope that you learned something. If you liked this video, please like it. And if you want to get notified next time I do a live stream, please subscribe. If you have questions, I always appreciate that, and I'm always going to get back to you. If you have topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know as well. I am really going to do that. I really am going to make videos about what people ask for. Thanks again for supporting my channel, and I will